Mr. Sunil Mehta served as the MD and CEO of Punjab National Bank. He is a seasoned banker with over 37 years of rich experience. Mr. Mehta holds master's degree in agronomy, MBA in finance, and is a certified associate of Indian Institute of Bankers, CAIIB. He started his banking career as an agriculture field officer at Allahabad Bank in 1982. Prior to assuming the position of MD and CEO, PNB, he was Executive Director of Corporation Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Sunil Mehta? Sir, the stage is yours.
A very good evening to all of you. I think we are here to discuss about businesses of tomorrow, and a lot of deliberations have already happened. I must thank Dun & Bradstreet for share the banker's perspective and share my thoughts, what it looks like to build the business for tomorrow. We all understand the role of MSMEs, 6 crore plus, providing employment to 11 crore plus people in the country. And to build tomorrow, we need to understand what is the foundation we have laid down in the past and the present, the infrastructure that has been created to facilitate the enterprise of tomorrow, and the role banking sector is playing in the growth of businesses and making them future ready. Let me tell you, I think the states, and we must compliment the Indian government and our regulator, the role that has been played during the pandemic time. Being a member of International Banking Federation, we deliberated on various geographies, and I can share with you, sometimes we ignore what we get, but our India has really done a wonderful job in sustaining the MSMEs during the pandemic time. The government came out with the emergency line of credit that not only helped the enterprises to sustain during the pandemic time when there were no cash flows to pay the salaries, to pay the rent and electricity and maybe the interest serving, and when there was no cash flows, at least they have not fallen into NP and could pass through the difficult times. The restructuring window that was opened by Reserve Bank of India also provided a lot of comfort to those enterprises which were struggling with cash flows at that point of time. They could get some breathing time to come back to the normal businesses, and we are all fortunate that from the last 6 to 8 months, our economy is almost back to pre-pandemic level or even better position in most of the sectors. The government has also created another enablers, understanding that there is a need for supporting those MSMEs which are new and there may be some small entrepreneurs. So they come out with some mudra schemes, they come out with a scheme for CGTMACs where entrepreneurs do not have a collateral, because earlier the banks were in a habit of lending only to the collateralized sector, and to finance the MSMEs and the enterprises without collaterals. So the scheme was, CGTMAC was also introduced to support the growth of the MSMEs. There are a lot of other enablers. Even government has came forward to provide the long-term capital in the form of the restructuring schemes, that we bring out 5% and then 10% can be contributed by the government in the form of a fund to support it, a fund-of-fund scheme to support the MSMEs. So a lot of initiatives have been done, but then can we build a business of tomorrow just on the support by the government or the regulator? The answer is big no. Then what we need to do to keep the businesses more relevant in times to come. And very rightly commented by Mr. Dhawan that yes, it's the way you look forward into synergies, the way you look forward into expanding the scope of collaborations. That is very important. I think a live example, and I would also like to quote is, 20 years before, I think when I was a young person and that time, we could never think of that we will be buying a glass of water or a bottle of water for 100 rupees. But now that's a reality. Nobody could visualize that water could be sold and packaged and offered like this. So the future will depend upon visualizing where the social and the economic trends are going. The pandemic has taught us the need to go digital. We can operate from the remote areas, we can operate from the various system, and that has already been narrated by the previous pair. Yes, there is a payment infrastructure already available, which not only provides you comfort of easy collections and easy deposit into the banking system. Earlier cash used to collect and then go and deposit next day, so that will also create a lag period that will be saved. There are emerging trends into businesses, and the emerging trend which I would like to highlight to all of you is a global shift into business practices. A global shift into business practices. Now everybody is talking about environment. Our government of India is becoming conscious. I think those of you who are there, they said that government is thinking now how to go green and how do our economy become more sustainable. How can we save the environment and reduce the burden of import cost of the fossil fuel from the Western world and the different other countries and in the Arabic world. The concept of ethanol blending, it came forward, providing a good opportunity for those in the sugar industries to build on it. Then the stubble burning was a big issue in northern parts of the country, and government come out with a regulation that if you base a bio-based fuel, and they made it mandatory for most of the power sector and public sector, that you should acquire 10% of your basic fuel from the bio sources. Like you use these stubbles, make it a coal, and then use it and burn it into your furnaces for creating this. Similar initiatives are coming in various sectors. For example, now there is a shift. Even if you ask any youngster, if you ask any person, the preference has gone from fossil-based fuel to the electrical vehicles. Nobody knows about their future, still we are adopting it. That provides a huge opportunity for the businesses to build on alternative product lines. When there will be so many electrical vehicles, there will be demand for batteries, there will be demand for recharging stations, and we can find a lot of opportunities for these businesses of tomorrow. Similarly, environment change and the climatic changes are now driving the attention of the entire world. And incidentally, unfortunately, our India is going to get the presidency of the G20 countries. So the entire focus of the entire world will be what we are doing for this climate race, what we are doing for the ESG framework. And we can't think that as an MSME we don't have a role to play, or as a small enterprises, because tomorrow when the big corporates, they have all start working into this space, the ancillary services, the spare parts, the service stations will have to be provided by the MSME. So MSME have to gear up and align themselves to go hand in hand with the development and the changes taking place into the corporate world. Just yesterday, while deliberating in an ESG framework, even the SEBI has come out with certain guidelines that, okay, now it is for the first 100 countries, companies, they have made it a disclosures about the ESG framework mandatory. Now they expanded it to 500, now it is 1,000, and times are not ahead. They may be in a short piece of time. These type of reporting may be repeated in the smaller enterprises also. Are we doing a sustainable business? Are we creating value for the future generations? Are we thinking to the future? The way we are talking about, I was talking about water and the way the changes are happening in various areas, the way we work, like nobody thought that we can have our offices at our home. And that's what has been taught by the technology as well as by the pandemic, that yes, you may not need office space and you can work from home. And that provides you another opportunity. Like real estate will find that people will need a more spacious home to keep one room, because every person who is on working from home will require a separate room, dedicated room for their video conferencing, maybe for conversations, and that creates additional capacity requirement in the housing sector. The banking sector is trying to keep, I don't say has kept, is trying to keep pace with these changes. You are all aware, and I think it has been discussed, that in MSME, the lending space was predominantly occupied by informal sector, and the banking sector has gradually started taking lion's share. People were afraid of going to the bank because the large paper format is required, and they will be worried whether we will get a fair treatment or we will get the proper loan proposals. Now I think the beginning has been made. The Prime Minister has launched that 59minutes.com portal, in which all the public sector banks have come together, where at least the in-principle approvals are made online within 59 minutes, and you can know whether I'm eligible for a loan, and if yes, to how much amount, or whether it can be underwritten by the bank quickly. They work on your GST return, they work on your CIBIL score, they work on your account statement. And from these income tax returns, and based on these 4 or 5 bases of information, they have developed the algorithm-based model which delivers you a quicker sanctions. This is beginning of a journey, this is not the end of it. Banking system, I can share with you, is gearing up for end-to-end digitization of the MSE loan processes. Some banks have already initiated these steps, others are falling in line. When an entrepreneur can take the loan at a very reasonable pricing based on their strength, they need not run around the banking system, they need not know some intermediary or the person to approach the bank for getting the loans. We are heading to that. The entire system will get benefit. Now what is need is, all these systems brings in more responsibility, not only on the part of the banking system, but on the part of the business enterprises. With the advent of IBC in 2016, I think everybody has understood that if you do not maintain your financial discipline, we may lose an enterprise, maybe we may get a shorter window to save it for some time. So the need for a financial discipline and a more organized sector, and a need to build up a credit score, a credit history to get a quicker approvals of support for the businesses. In this era of digitalization, nothing is private. Your entire data is available in all the environment, right from social media to here. That data can be worked upon by any financial institution and can understand your transaction behavior, can understand your behavior. And that's why now the banking system can use the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and these technologies to provide pre-approved loans as well as the quick delivery of the loans. And this has already happened in credit card segment, where you are getting an increased limit based on your transaction behavior, and you get an offer and you accept it, and your credit limits are increased in credit card. Same thing has already started happening for personal loans. Nowadays are not far off when this can happen in MSME and the businesses. We at IBA have already taken up with the NESL, the company which has been mandated for depository of the documents digitally signed. So right now we have gone to the stage of in-principle approval, in some cases up to a final underwriting, but there is yet a room available for end-to-end digitalization of the lending processes. right from onboarding of a customer, its underwriting, its document execution now, which can happen with the help of this NESL portal, which is available, and you can execute the documents sitting from the comfort of your home or maybe from a different geographies. And after that, the collection mechanism and the monitoring mechanism, they are the future building blocks in this supply chain. So the banking sector is evolving to provide the ease of banking to the future businesses. The journey has already begun. And the businesses will have to understand their future needs, understand the models which the banking system is adopting, and align their strategies so that they become a preferred entity by the entire financial system. Very rightly said that the entire ecosystem where NBFCs, banking system, we are collaborating together. Co-lending models are being developed. An interlinkage of financial system, interlinkage of the businesses, creating more transparencies, will bring in the greater corporate governance, will bring in the better discipline, and this will definitely facilitate the ease of doing banking, the ease of doing business in our country. So friends, businesses of tomorrow will depend upon building credibility, sustainability, governance, and a quick adaptability to foresee the changes which are happening in the environment. As very rightly said by my previous speaker, it's not that you can just wait and see that I'll do the business the way I want to do. I won't change. A lot of changes are already happening in food delivery space. It is already happening in retail marketing space. Things are getting online. Even medicines you order online. So these changes we have seen in last 4 or 5 years. And same way the changes are bound to come into all businesses. May it be banking, may it be insurance, may it be any enterprise in the service sector. Online consultations are a common thing for a medical profession. So the need is to make a very agile, resilient business enterprise, adopting this credibility, sustainability, and environment-friendly needs, climate-friendly needs of the society in your mind. Building on these blocks, we can definitely build up a very good businesses for tomorrow, and I think it's a very good platform where we come together, we share our thoughts and understand our each other's perspective, that what we can contribute. The way I told you about banking system is gearing up to meet out your requirements as a businesses. The businesses will have to gear up to find out all these facilities at the click of a mouse if they build the right blocks within their system. Thank you for a patient hearing, even in this late evening hours, and thanks to Dan and B once again for inviting me to share my thoughts on you. Thanks a lot.
So can I please request you to stay back on the stage for a few more minutes? Thank you for that thought-provoking session. I'm sure our audience is really enjoying it. I now request Mr. Avinash Gupta to kindly come on the stage and give our token of appreciation to Mr. Sunil Mehta. Can we have a huge round of applause? Thank you, gentlemen. And now, my dear guests, we come to one of the key highlights of the day, one of the much-awaited events of the year, the release of our publications, Leading SMEs of India and Leading Mid-Corporate of India 2022. Dun & Bradstreet releases its premier publications every year and features leading SMEs and mid-corporates of India. It also carries insightful write-ups and in-depth analysis of the sector, along with success stories